Welcome to Taiwan Talk on ICRT. I'm Ryan Drillsmer. This week I'm speaking to film writer and director Eric Rettstadt about his new short movie Tank Fairy. It follows the story of a 10-year-old boy whose life is turned upside down when he is visited by the Tank Fairy, played by Taipei drag queen Marian. Welcome to Taiwan Talk, Eric Rettstadt.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today. Now, Eric is a filmmaker who studied at New York University and the University of Southern California and is now in Taiwan, and you've been here for
5 years.
5 years. So we brought you here today to talk about your new short film, Tank Fairy, which is about a magical tank fairy who upends the life of Jojo, a lovely 10-year-old who dreams of dancing and drag. So the film centers on 松瓜丝的. Now, can you explain what that is to people who may not know?
Yeah, so this job, this profession, 松瓜丝的 or 瓦斯工人, was something that I was completely unfamiliar with when I moved to Taiwan. It is a usually very burly, masculine man who will deliver portable propane tanks to apartments or street vendors that or buildings that don't have gas mains in them. So older buildings, families, might use these propane tanks to heat up food or heat water for showers, etc., etc. So that is what a 松瓦丝的 is.
It's a very blue-collar, usually male-dominated field, as you put in the movie, lacking in glamour.
Yes.
So what made you want to sort of subvert people's expectations of this profession and turn it into a glamorous, beautiful woman?
Yeah, so when I moved here, like I said, it was something I was completely unfamiliar with. And, when I told my mom that, oh yeah, I have, she wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea of me having a portable gas tank, propane tank in my kitchen. But it was just something that was very interesting and compelling to me. And by that point in the project, I guess we'll get to this, but I already knew that I was wanting to work with a drag queen in Taipei, a drag artist in Taipei. And so where did the idea come from? One morning, I literally was woken up by a gas tank delivery. And when I was, in this foggy waking up state, I got to thinking, well, what would happen if we dragged up the gas tank delivery person? In Taiwan, there is certainly a gendered class stereotype to the job, kind of as you already alluded to. And so I was thinking about how could we subvert that while still honoring the essential role that they play in Taiwanese society. What would that look like? And out came Tank Fairy.
Is drag artistry something you've always been interested in or wanted to make a movie about?
Yeah. I mean, over time, my first kind of taste of drag and, what drag could be came when I was living in New York. And I lived in Brooklyn with a iconic Brooklyn drag queen named Charlene Incarnate. And at the time, Charlene was just kind of breaking onto the scene, and it was really through her that I discovered drag beyond RuPaul's Drag Race, or La Cage. And in Brooklyn, it's a very edgy, occasionally messy, but very, exciting kind of drag. And so it was there in Brooklyn that I, started to be interested in it. But really after moving to Taiwan is when I started to think about how could, we blend drag with the art of cinema. And that led to this project.
So the star of the movie is Marian, who is a very well-known drag queen in Taipei, also very talented. How did she come to be a part of the movie?
I used to watch her week after week at Taipei gay bars, at Cafe Delita, so many places. And she is just a phenomenal talent, a phenomenal performer, charismatic, comedic, an incredible dancer. And so I knew that I wanted to work with her early on, and I kind of built the project around her. Like I mentioned, I knew I wanted to work with her before the idea of Songhua Sida came into play. It was really important to me to collaborate with Taiwanese queer artists at every step of the way to ensure that the finished product, Tank Fairy, gave back to the community that made our vision possible and was respectful of a culture that's not my own. So yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I kind of pitched the idea to Marian about this, and I was speaking broken Chinese, trying to explain the concept of this magical gas tank delivery woman, and she was just kind of like, huh, you want me to deliver gas tanks? But because of the fact that Taiwan obviously has its own cultural connotations with the job, it's a little bit dreary. It's kind of the opposite of a glamazon drag queen. And so in the beginning, I was doing a horrible job of pitching my idea, but thankfully my partner Ty, who really has been, producerially, artistically, a partner for me on this project, he explained what we were doing, the fact that we were going to be subverting the kind of gas guy trope in the service of telling a story about a kid who just needed help to express himself. So then, Marian totally was on board, and we worked together to kind of deepen the on-screen portrayal of the Tank Fairy, and also, in a way that stayed true to who she was as an artist as well. When thinking about this project and how to put the art of drag in conversation with the art of cinema, when we see drag on screen these days, it's usually in a reality documentary format where the transformation in and out of drag is emphasized. But I personally believe that the potential for drag in popular culture is so much more.
Now, in the movie, Marian is delivering a gas tank to the house of Jojo, the 10-year-old boy, and his mother. Now, obviously, this boy as well is a very talented actor and dancer. How did you get introduced to these other actors that play a major part in the film?
Yeah, Ryan Yotang is Kaohsiung Ren. He lives in Kaohsiung. And we found him through his teacher, who is also the choreographer on the project, Akuma Diva Extravaganza, an incredible choreographer, dancer, whacking performer, member of the iconic House of Extravaganza. And so, Ryan is an incredible performer as well, and his own kind of personality and charisma really shaped who Jojo was as a character. Originally, Jojo was actually written as a female character, but it was only after discovering Ryan that we decided to rewrite the character, and I think that the story ended up being a lot more powerful because of that change. A lot of themes and ideas that I had been talking about with my producers about gender fluidity, self-expression, gender roles in society, and the associated pressures and expectations that we experience, it all just kind of fell into place. Also, oddly, there were certain ways in which Ryan's own life mirrored the story of Jojo. He has a very conservative mom, who's a lot more supportive of his dancing than the mom in the film. And also at school, I think that he faces some difficulty and pushback from other classmates because he's a 10-year-old boy who likes to dance. And unfortunately, that's just, might face some pushback from classmates. So that is a lot of that mirrored what was going on in the film. So it all worked out. Ryan's an incredible performer. I feel so lucky to work with him and Marian. And then Danielle, or the mom, as for the mom character, this was the last role that we cast. It's tough because it kind of the role requires this kind of intimate, emotional gravitas and seriousness of conservative single mom. But also there's an element of big physical comedy to the role as well. And as the story's kind of antagonist, Jojo's mom has like a pretty big arc for 10 minutes short. And so when I first met the actress who plays her, Danielle Yen, she spoke so intelligently and articulately about all of this. And so I knew that she would be great in the role. And yeah, I'm an incredibly lucky director.
That's great. Do you intend to expand on this idea of taking a everyday profession that people see around Taiwan, or some cultural entity in Taiwan, and then subverting it and changing it?
Funny that you ask, because Tank Fairy is a proof of concept for a larger half-hour musical comedy television series, anthology series. And the series expands upon Tank Fairy by building a world of drag queen and king protagonists in everyday Taiwanese settings. So each episode will showcase a contemporary Taiwanese drag artist or artists through celebratory, joyous, culturally specific narratives. So, for example, one episode would be about a sexy female pork vendor who saves her conservative market from neighborhood gentrification. Okay? Another one is about dancing leseche workers, dancing trash truck delivery workers who dispose of toxic masculinity at every stop. Okay, there's an episode in the tea fields in the mountains. There's Binglang Shishi, beetle nut beauties. And the series emphasizes uniquely Taiwanese stories, but also stories that are grounded by universally accessible, emotional cores. And so that we can hopefully reach, a larger international audience.
Right. Now I need to congratulate you, because Tank Fairy has been chosen to be screened at South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin, Texas, which is one of the biggest film festivals in the world. How do you feel about that?
Thrilled. Over the moon. I mean, I've never had any of my work featured on a scale of this size, at a festival of this size. I feel so incredibly lucky and happy. This project was inspired by and made in collaboration with the Taiwanese queer community. And so first and foremost, I, am just happy to be able to be a part of bringing a spotlight to the Taiwanese queer community. But yeah, South by Southwest is an incredible festival, and Marian will be in attendance to give the crowd what they want, shows. And we also were accepted at Santa Barbara International Film Festival, at Ann Arbor International Film Festival, both of which are Academy Award qualifying festivals. And so I'm feeling great about the future of the project and can't wait to share the film with the crowd in the States.
It has already been screened in Taiwan. I believe it was screened at the Kaohsiung Film Festival last year. Will it be coming back so people here can see it again?
Yes, we are in the process of securing our Taipei premiere, and that will be happening this year. So you can follow Tank Fairy on the socials, at Tank Fairy on Instagram, and then you can also look up Tank Fairy on Facebook, and that's where we're posting all of our stuff. Also, tankferry.com.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today, Eric Rettstadt, and good luck with your undoubtedly busy month ahead. Thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening. Join us next week when we'll be speaking to a brand new guest.